Genesis format, as while it is a perfectly good card for a variety of dark focus decks, it's not broken by any means. It's the kind of card that perfectly is reasonable to have around the format, and depending on the type of decks that become popular in the format, or they get printed in the future, it's very possible for Grepher to make its way to future Genesis lists, especially considering the other options like Foolish Burial cost a massive 33 points. While not necessarily broken, Grepher is still very powerful and an important card to keep in your back pocket while deck building. And at number 5, we have Malice Dormouse. This is a level 3 Dark Cyberx with 900 attack and 300 defense. It has the effects where Malice monsters that it points to can't be destroyed by card effects. During your main phase, you can banish one Malice monster from your deck to give all of your Malice monsters 600 attack. Also, if this card is banished, you can pay 300 life points to special summon it, but you can only link summon for the rest of the turn. You probably recognize this card for being the bane of any Master Duel player for the better part of the year. Malice has been a thorn in Jules' side ever since it was printed, excelling in spamming the board with powerful link monsters that overwhelm the opponent in terms of card advantage and interaction. Of course, links are not present in Genesis, so this link-focused archetype has largely been made irrelevant. Dormouse here stands in not only for this archetype, but for essentially all of the many cards that are on the Forbidden Limited list, thanks specifically to how they interact with link monsters. Many cards that produce tokens such as Dandelion, Grinder Golem, and Blackwing Go for the Big Shadow are ban-worthy in advance, thanks to making far too much link material. But in Genesis format, they maybe let you extend some synchro plays and do little less. Hornet Drones was a powerful piece of link extension for the Sky Striker archetype, which now essentially doesn't function with all of its links banned. Black Dragon Coal Serpent pairs with White Dragon Wayward Bursting to allow Dragon Links to spam the board with free bodies. The list of cards that are severely weakened by the absence of link monsters is so numerous that it's hard to cover them in a timely manner. Considering just how many cards there are that are banned that are completely free in Genesis due to the lack of links, it was impossible to not award the strongest of them a spot on this list. And at number 4, we have Runic Fountain. This is a field spell with the effect where you can activate Runic Quick Play spells from your hand during your opponent's turn. Also, once per turn, if you activate a Runic Quick Play spell card, you can target up to 3 Runic Quick Play spells in your graveyard, put them on the bottom of your deck in any order, and then draw that many cards. This is the centerpiece of the Runic archetype, a very unique archetype that features no main deck monsters whatsoever. Instead, all of its fusion monsters can be summoned with their quick play spells. These spells all force you to skip your next battle phase in exchange for either special summoning a Runic monster from your extra deck to the extra monster zone, or getting another useful effect. This makes the Runic deck incredibly versatile, and Fountain, as its centerpiece, makes it incredibly powerful. Being able to draw 3 cards from your field spell multiple times is unthinkable in most archetypes, but the Runic deck forcing you to play a high density of Runic spells means that you won't be using these cards to combo your opponent into oblivion. That's not to say drawing 3 cards isn't still extremely powerful, as in most Runic decks, all of those cards will be powerhouses. Thanks to just how strong Runic has been and continues to be, Konami has taken action against the deck in 7 points. The easiest way to limit the deck's power has been limiting the copies of Runic Fountain, as if you only have 1 Fountain, then once your opponent deals with it, you won't be able to use Fusion to find another one. The card has never been banned though, and it's only been semi-limited TCG, which hardly affects the deck's potency. In Genesis format, Runic is already greatly limited thanks to the removal of the extra monster zone. Without an extra monster zone, you can't summon any of your Runic monsters, which means that all of your Runic spell cards only have 1 bow that they can use. While this may not sound that bad, the flexibility of the Runic spells was a big part of their success. It meant that it was almost impossible to completely dead draw a card in the deck, as even if your opponent had no back row, your Runic Destruction could still do something. Despite this drawback, the Runic engine has already proven powerful in the format. And at number 3, we have Purely Delicious Memory. This is a quick play spell with the effect where you choose a monster on the field, and that monster can't be destroyed by battle this turn. Then you can discard a card to special summon a level 1 Purely monster from your deck. Also, any Xyz monster with this attached to its material gains the effect, where it gains an extra 300 attack and defense for each material attached to that monster. The Purely archetype is based around the cats, Purely and Purely Blue, which both have effects that allow you to use them, and a Purely quick play spell is material for the Xyz summon of a monster that mentions that specific quick play spell. A Purely Beauty can be made with Purely Purity Memory, a Purely Happiness can be made with Purely Happy Memory, a Purely Noir can be made with Purely Sleepy Memory, and finally a Purely Plump can be made with Purely Delicious Memory. Each of these quick play spells has their own effect, and can substitute Xyz monsters attached to an effect. And they all allow you to discard a card to summon one of the cats from your deck. The Xyz monsters all have their own effects, and the Purely Plus effect allows you to target 2 spell and trap cards in graveyards and attach them to form as Xyz materials. This is really important because the goal of Purely decks is to get one of their Xyz monsters to 5 materials that can be ranked into X Purely Noir, a powerful rank 7 Xyz monster that is completely unaffected by your opponent's activated effects, while it has at least 5 materials. Plum is great at facilitating this, as with the 2 materials you use to summon it and the 2 cards you attach to it with its effect. With its effect, it will only need 1 more material to be able to rank up into Noir. All of the rank 2 Purely monsters share the effect where, up to thrice per turn, if you activate a Purely Quick Play spell, you can attach that card to them as a material and then do another additional effect. This can allow almost all of the Purely monsters to successfully rank up into Noir on turn 1, but with much stricter requirements than Plum does. Purely was a very powerful deck in Advanced a while back. It was never impressive, but it did require some course correction. Quick in the deck, Konami semi-limited some of the quick play spells to prime targets with Purely memory and Purely. Normally, these semi-limits would be kind of pointless, because you still have a good chance of drawing into these quick play spells or finding them with the effect of Purely. However, the main way to directly add the Purely memories to your hand was My Friend Purely, which can, once per turn, let you pay 500 life points to find the Purely card in the deck besides itself, and have your opponent randomly add one of them. This is a big searcher for the deck, and the main way the deck had of adding specific cards to his hand was by choosing to bring the same card with My Friend Purely. The card being limited or semi-limited reduced the consistency with which this worked, forcing the deck to either play different lines based on what it had into its hand on its turn 1, or compensate for rolling the wrong memory with other engines. However, this method of nerfing the Purely deck simply doesn't work in Genesis format. To limit the deck in the same way, you would need to put one of the memories to 33 points, and My Friend Purely is the associated Xyz monster at 33 points as well, which is just far too harsh of a restriction to put onto the deck. Instead, the deck has several modest hits that force it to play a few non-engine cards if you want to max out the important pieces. The most any of the Purely cards are put at is a modest 15 points, which, with the amount of searching available in the deck, is pretty workable if you're willing to skip out on non-engine. This entire situation mostly shows some of the weaknesses and strengths of the point-based ban list of Genesis format. It means that cards like Pot of Greed, which have been banned in advance because otherwise you just play everything, can be made legal. But a simple solution to weakening certain cards or strategies such as Purely or something like Malicious is no longer available. There really isn't any perfect method for banning and limiting cards, and this is an illustrative example of the strengths and weaknesses of different methods. And at number 2, we have Ultimate Offering. This is a continuous trap with the effect, where during your main phase or your opponent's battle phase, you can pay 500 life points to normal summon or set 1 monster from your hand. Ultimate Offering is a very simple but very powerful card. The amount of advantage Ultimate Offering can give in a single turn is hard to understand in a vacuum. You may assume that Offering is just a way of cheating all the monsters in your hand onto the battlefield, but it's actually much more powerful than that. You see, a ton of very powerful card effects are tied specifically to normal summoning a monster. For an easy example, look at the gadgets. Each of these gadgets has the effect that with a normal summon, they add a specific, different gadget from your deck to your hand. red adds yellow, yellow adds green, and then green adds red. If you have ultimate offering on the field, you can normal summon one gadget to add another gadget, and then immediately normal summon that gadget you just found to find another gadget from your deck to your hand. And then you can just keep doing this until you've exhausted all 9 copies of the gadgets from your deck. But you can actually go further, as these can be used as materials for Synchro Nexus monsters. If you really wanted to, you can even use them as materials for Diagnostic Emerald to shuffle the gadgets back into your deck to add to your hand another gadget later on. This gadget chain is just an example of what you can do with infinite normal summons in one turn. There are far better monsters to do normal summoning with ultimate offering. This one is only being used due to its simplicity. Thanks to how broken infinite normal summons would be, the card has been banned for a very long time. However, the card may not actually be much of a problem in the modern day, and that's due to the simple fact that it's a trump card. This effect is very powerful if you're using it to build a massive board before your opponent gets a chance to play. Being forced to wait a turn gives your opponent time to assemble a defense against your combo, and even a simple Mystical Space Typhoon can shut all of this down. If Ultimate Offering were a continuous spell card, it would probably be ban-worthy. But, as a continuous trap, the card has enough counterplay that the long combos it enables aren't a problem. Some decks may be able to do something incredibly broken with it during their opponent's battle phase, or something else silly at some point, but the simple fact that the card is a trap means that it no longer needs to be banned. And this goes for both Advanced format and Genesis format. This is another card that's just brought on the ban list without strictly needing to be there. And at number 1, we have Mirage of Nightmare. This is a continuous spell with the effect where, during your opponent's standby phase, you draw cards until you have 4 in your hand. Then, near your next standby phase, you randomly discard the same number of cards. Mirage may just seem like a really weird magical malady at first, but if you look closely, you'll see that this effect is extremely amusing. You see, the draw and discard are both 2 different effects, which means that Mirage needs to be on the field to activate its resolve both in the draw and in the discard. So if you have Mirage on the field for the draw and then get rid of it before your standby phase, you get to keep all the cards that you drew. This is actually quite easy to accomplish, as you can easily get rid of Mirage of Nightmare by just targeting it with your own MST after you've drawn up to 4 cards. This level of card advantage was completely insane throughout most of the game's history. However, as with Ultimate Offering, the fact that you have to wait a turn for Mirage to trigger means that players have slowly been wondering if the card can be unbanned without issue in the modern day. However, unlike Offering that struggles to make an immediate impact on the game, the cards Mirage gives you can often instantly be leveraged to advantage. Any hand traps you draw can be used right away, and decks such as the previously mentioned Runic can activate spell cards directly from the hand, giving Mirage a deck where it can immediately impact the game as soon as it activates. Many decks even have easy ways to get rid of their own Mirage, as the new archetype Radiant Typhoon is built around the classic Mystical Space Typhoon. This gives Mirage a deck where it can immediately slot in and play. Previously, the card wasn't used in the deck because it was pointless, similar to Pot of Greed. It's a spell card that also used to make cards for free, but you didn't have to wait a turn for them. Now that Mirage is at 0 points, Radiant Typhoon lists are far more incentivized to make use of it in the future. Considering that Mirage is not only a powerful card, but has home to a top Genesis deck that it slots into, it's easily the most powerful of every single 0-point card that's still on the prohibited limited list.
Rivali's gale is now ready.
I make a manual save first. The Shrine of Resurrection feels so depressing in Tears of the Kingdom. Been taken over by the Yiga. And all the technology. All the impressive technology that used to be there no longer is. Dude, why can't I nail this headshot? Was a high damage output claymores better than a high durability thing? For the sole purpose of Lionel hunting?
Daruk's protection is now ready to roll.
Just in time. Alright, let's see if this works or not. How annoying. The second phase is his hardest in my opinion. The clones are a lot harder to deal with than Big Mass Koshia.
Barbosa's fury is ready.
Hmm? Hmm. Oh. Hmm. Hmm.
have watched your journey, every step. You have overcome every challenge with great courage. With the power that you have attained, I am certain you can defeat Calamity Ganon. Truly.
Whoa.
The Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading Card Game Pre-Game Setup. Each player creates a deck of 40 to 60 cards. You can also create an optional extra deck and side deck. These decks can each have anywhere from 0 to 15 cards. The cards in these decks do not count towards your main deck's total. Extra deck is used to hold special cards that can be used during the game when certain requirements are met. The side deck is only used in between duels, allowing you to swap out cards in your deck to help you adjust to your opponent for the next duel. The number of cards in your side deck before and after you swap any cards between duels must remain the same. You may not have more than 3 copies of the same card in your deck, extra deck, and side deck combined. Certain cards have special conditions that determine how the game names them. For example, Harpy Lady 1, Harpy Lady 2, and Harpy Lady 3 are always treated as Harpy Lady, regardless of their locations. This means that all cards who are treated as a given name cannot collectively exceed the 3-card cap between your main, side, and extra decks. Certain cards
There's
have
like 5
specific
cards in
quantity
the
restrictions
10,000 card
beyond
pool
this.
where that
Limited cards are restricted to 1
applies
copy,
to.
semi-limited are restricted to 2, forbidden cards are not allowed to be included at all, and some cards contain text saying they cannot be used. Check out the official Yu-Gi-Oh! Website for the complete and updated list. In casual play, if both players agree, this list may be ignored. In addition to cards, you might
An
also
important
include
rule everyone
dice,
seems to
counters,
forget.
tokens, calculator, game mat, paper, or writing utensil. There are 3 types of cards: monster, spell, and trap. The name of the card is at the top and its description is at the bottom. Basic monster cards are either normal monsters, as indicated with a yellow background, or effect monsters, as indicated with an orange background. Monster cards have an attribute icon in the top right of either dark, earth, fire, light, water, wind, or demonic. Below that is a quantity of stars indicating the monster's level. Count the stars to determine the level. In the description box, the bold words are the monster's type. Below that is any card effects and/or descriptions. Descriptions are written in italics and only add narrative flavor to the game. Italicized words are not abilities and never affect gameplay. In the bottom right of the monster card is that card's attack and defense points, abbreviated as shown. Spell and trap cards have a type icon in the top right, indicating if they are a spell or trap. Below that is an icon that represents special properties the spell or trap card may have. Its properties and spells are Normal, Equip, Field, Quick Play, Ritual, and Continuous, while the properties for traps are Normal, Continuous, and Counter. A card without an icon is considered normal. The spell and trap card's description says what it does. To understand how to read card text, check out this video. Players sit across from each other. Table space in front of them is specifically limited to certain zones. You can use a game map to help you remember. The main monster zone is where you put your monsters when you play. You can only have up to 5 monsters in play at a time, and you may not change their location once played. Monster cards can be played one of 3 ways: face-up vertical attack position, face-up horizontal defense position, and face-down horizontal defense position. Below the main monster zone is your spell and trap zone, where you put spell and trap cards. This zone is limited to 5 cards, which cannot change location once placed. Above the main monster zone is 2 extra monster zones. Check out our Advanced Rules playlist to learn more. You may never exceed the card limit to any of your zones. If your zone is full, you must wait until an opening is created before you can play there. Whenever cards are destroyed, used, or discarded from your hand, they are sent face-up to the graveyard. The graveyard is to the right of your main monster zone and is public knowledge for both players and can be counted or looked through at any time, but not rearranged. The graveyard may be abbreviated in card text as GY. Below your graveyard is your face-down 40 to 60 card deck. This is where you draw cards to add to your hand. If a card ever tells you to reveal or look at cards in your deck, once you are finished, you must shuffle your deck. If your deck is out of cards and you need to draw, then you immediately lose the duel. To the left of your main
That
monster
fucking
zone
Dark
is the
Dragoon.
field zone, where field spell cards are played. Each player can have 1 field spell card on their own side of the field at a time. Another field spell, play it, and it will replace your current one, sending it to your graveyard. You may not discard a field spell card without replacing it, or using a card effect. Any field spell effects apply to both players. You can play a field spell card face down or face up, or flip a face down field spell face up. Only face up field spells are active. Below the field zone is your face down extra deck. You are allowed to look at your own extra deck during the game at any time. Some cards are returned to your extra deck instead of sent to the graveyard. If a card is banished, also called removed from play, it is sent to the banishment area. Banishment is any area not in any specific playing zone where cards can be sent. Typically, banished cards are in a pile adjacent to the graveyard. You must return your banished cards back to your deck at the end of each duel. Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading Card Game Pre-Game Setup. Each player creates a deck of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading Card Game Understanding Card Text. Whenever there is discrepancy between the basic rules of Yu-Gi-Oh! And a card's text, the card's text takes precedence. For example, Light of Intervention makes it so that all cards that are set are played in face-up defense position instead of face-down, which directly contradicts the basic rules. Or, Super Polymerization makes it so you cannot chain cards to it like you normally would after a spell card is played. Cards printed after 2011 have been written with a new, easier to understand, uniform format. For help understanding cards printed earlier than 2011, please search online. With the new format, you can simply read the card, apply logic to figure out the answer, then continue playing. When dealing with chain keys, it can be especially important to understand the format. Card effects are sometimes separated with a colon and/or semicolon. Conditions are always followed by a colon. Activation text is separated by a semicolon. and a card's resolving effect are ended with one or more periods. The basic structure for an effect is conditions,
Shit.
activation, semicolon, resolution, period. Some cards only have a resolution, some only have activation and resolution, or condition and resolution, while other cards may have multiple of any of these combinations. Text before the colon gives you the information on the conditions needed to activate the effect and the timing for when it happens. For example, flip colon means that when the condition of that face-down card is flipped face-up, you then proceed to activate the effect. Text before a semicolon is what you do when the effect is activated. Text at the end of a sentence after the colon and any semicolon is what you do at the resolution of the effect. To play a card, make sure the condition before the colon is met. Then, do the activation part before the semicolon if there is any. After that, other cards from either player can be chained in response. If there is no chain, then resolve the card's effect. If there is a chain, then you don't resolve your card's effect until the chain is complete, at which point the chain is resolved in reverse order. For a deeper look at chains and how they work, along with examples, please check out this video. The term activating a card is the act of placing a card on the table in such a way that the conditions for that card, if any, are fulfilled. Whereas the term activating an effect is the act of performing the effect text on a card that is already in play. Attacking directly means that a monster attacks a player instead of attacking a monster. A monster battles and is considered battling starting from when it attacks or is attacked. This includes both monsters attacking other monsters and monsters attacking a player's life points directly. When a card requires a monster to have battled, in the past tense, the attack had to have reached the damage calculation portion of the damage step in order for the monster to have battled. If the attack stops before damage calculation, the monster did not battle, but an attack was still declared. So in most cases, the attacking monster cannot declare another attack. Battle damage is damage inflicted to a player by an attacking monster, or by a battle between two monsters. Damage from the effect of an effect monster, spell card, or a trap card is known as effect damage. When cards on the field is written in card text, it means all the cards on the game mat for both players, except for the graveyard, deck, and extra deck. Cards you control are the cards in your monster zone, spell and trap zone, field zone, and pendulum zones. Cards in your possession include all cards you control, plus the cards in your hand, deck, extra deck, graveyard, your banished cards, cards in the middle of being summoned to your side of the field, and Xyz's material attached to monsters you control. If a player takes control of a card from their opponent, move that card to the new controller's side of the field. If sent to the graveyard or returned to the hand or deck, it is always returned to the graveyard, hand, or deck of the original owner. A card is destroyed when it is sent to the graveyard due to battle between monsters or by an effect that destroys a card. A card that is returned from the field to the hand or deck, or that is sent to the graveyard as a cost or tribute, is not considered destroyed. Discard means to send a card from your hand to the graveyard. The effect of a card is the special ability written on it, like the effect of a spell, trap, or effect monster. Conditions that are needed to activate an ability, also called cost, are not part of the resolution, which can also be called the effect. The conditions that describe how to play a special summon monster are also not an effect. In addition to equipped spell cards, sometimes trap cards or monster cards can become equipped to a monster. Equipped traps remain traps, but equipped monsters are considered to be equipped spells. The term equip card includes all three kinds: standard equipped spells, equipped traps, and monsters equipped to other monsters. If a monster card is equipped to another monster, it goes to the spell and trap zone and remains equipped to that monster and cannot be moved to a different target, even by card effects that would normally be able to do so. The only exception is that union monsters equipped by their own effects can be moved by appropriate card effects. A monster that is equipped with an equipped card is
Oh,
called an
leveling
equipped
the
monster.
armor seemed to have
When this
taken out
monster
the
is destroyed
physics.
or flipped face down, the
That kinda
equipped card
sucks.
loses its target and is destroyed and sent to the graveyard. When an effect says to reveal a card, you show it to both players. You may have to reveal a face-down card, a card from your hand, or from the top of your deck. Revealing a card does not activate the card or its flip effect. Normally, revealed cards are returned to their original position after being looked at by both players. When a card says to excavate cards from your deck, reveal those cards to both players. Then, before you do anything
Not
else,
even Rabio
apply
could.
the instructions from the
The
card effect
ponytails
for
aren't working
excavating.
anymore.
Cards that are
Motherfucker.
being excavated are still treated as being in the deck until sent elsewhere by the card instructions. The original attack or defense is the number
I guess
of
that's
attack
because
or defense points
these
printed on
sets
the monster card. This
weren't
does
meant to
not
be
include an
upgradable.
increase from an equipped spell card or other card effect. To pay a
So
cost
that'd
is
probably
an
have to be
action
something
required
I'd
by
have
a
to
player
fix.
in order to activate a card, an effect, or to summon a monster. Tributing to tribute summon a level 5 monster is an example of a cost. Other common costs are discarding, paying life points, or banishing cards. You have to pay any costs before you declare the activation of the card. Even if the activation of the card is negated, you cannot get a refund of the cost that you have paid. Some monsters can inflict piercing battle damage when they attack a defense position monster. This means that you inflict damage to your opponent's life points equal to the difference between the attacking monster's attack points and the defending monster's defense points. When a card effect says to choose a card randomly, there is no official way of doing so it is fine as long as neither player has a way of knowing which card is being chosen. Whenever an effect instructs you to add a card from your deck to your hand, or to special summon a monster from your deck, you can pick up your deck and search through it for the appropriate card. You must shuffle your deck after any time you search through it, and let your opponent shuffle or cut. There is no rule for how to shuffle, but while shuffling, you cannot look through the cards you are shuffling, or arrange the cards and then shuffle them. You cannot activate an effect to search your deck for a card if there are no cards that meet the requirements in your deck. A card can be sent to the graveyard in various ways. Destroying a card, discarding, and tributing a monster are all actions that send a card to the graveyard, and will normally activate when a card is sent to the graveyard trigger effects. The exception is when a banished card is moved to the graveyard. It is not considered to be sent to the graveyard. Playing a card face down anywhere is called a set. Tributing is sending a monster you control to the graveyard. Contribute a face-up or face-down monster unless otherwise specified. A monster sent to the graveyard by tributing is not treated as destroyed. Bago kumagat,
Hmm. Looks like I'll have to do it manually. Doable, I suppose, but annoying.
Lizards? Do you need hightail lizards, hardy lizards, or fireproof lizards for Zelda Breath of the Wild? If you're looking to upgrade some gear, cook some good dishes, or simply collect them, today we'll learn exactly what they're used for and where to find them. I'm Nico, and I like collecting things in Zelda, and I like helping others find them too. If this video helps, give it a thumbs up, and if you want more Zelda content, I hope you consider subscribing, or at least checking out the channel. There's a few things I'd like to mention before we learn the information on each specific lizard. Lizards run away if they hear or see Link. Having at least level 2 stealth will allow you to go up to them at full speed of walking, not running, then grab them. Take a second too long and they'll run away. Also, unlike some other critters who disappear after one hit, lizards can be attacked once. You can run up to them and pick them up. First, we have hightail lizards. You can cook them in combination with a monster part for a speed boost, but there are better options. Check the card in the corner or the link in the description for my video on making the best recipes in Zelda Breath of the Wild. The main reason you'll need hightail lizards is to upgrade some gear. The sand and the snow boots each need 10 hightail lizards for their first upgrades. And each of the climbing's gear needs 5 hightail lizards for their second. That's a total of 35 hightail lizards. Hightail lizards can be found all over Hyrule in regular climates. You can cut some grass and they may appear. You can also buy from Beetle at Lakeside Stable and the South Akala Stable. Thank you! But there's one place I like to farm them, and that's in the East Nucluda around the 3 Giant Brothers Shrine Quest. I like to stay in the Koto Pond and the Hanu Pond. I turn on the sensor, and if it reads that the lizards are on the other side of any mountains, I go to the other pond, and another lizard usually spawns somewhere. Next is hardy lizards. The only reason to use them is for cooking elixirs. Remember, they need to be cooked with a monster part, and each hardy lizard cooked will fill Link's hearts to the max and add 4 temporary hearts. If you want to buy hardy lizards, you can buy them from Beetle at these stables: the Foothill, Gerudo Canyon, Highland, Outskirts, South Akala, and the Woodland Stable. However, the place I would farm them is also at East Nucluda around the 3 Giant Brothers Shrine Quest. I usually farm both hightail and hardy lizards at the same time. I target one of them with a Sheikah sensor, collect as many as I can, then when I feel like the sensor is bringing me over a mountain, change the sensor to the other lizard. Then I just do this over and over again. Finally, there is one small place that's great to farm hightail lizards and hardy lizards, and you guess it, and it's Satori Mountain. However, it can only be when the mountain is glowing. If you go to the north side of the mountain when it's glowing, you can find about 20 hightail lizards and 10 hardy lizards. And finally, we have fireproof lizards. You need them for one side quest and to upgrade some gear. The side quest is in a southern mine in the Elden region. Speak to Kima and he will ask for 10 fireproof lizards and he will give you the Flamebreaker armor. Fortunately, there are at least 10 fireproof lizards around this mine. Just remember to sneak up on them or attack them. And the second reason you will need fireproof lizards is to upgrade the Flamebreaker gear. Each piece needs 1 lizard for the first upgrade, and each piece needs 3 lizards for the second upgrade. Including the side quest, you can 2 fireproof lizards. You can also cook fireproof lizards, and it will give Link a fireproof bonus. You can't get level 2 with only lizards, but you only need level 2 to go on the mountain and in the northern mine. But after getting the Flamebreaker gear, that shouldn't be a problem. And the best place to farm fireproof lizards, like I mentioned earlier, there are more than 10 lizards in the southern mine. Remember that stealth will help, and you can attack them if not, and make sure you check under the rocks too. Basically, they're all over the Elden region and Death Mountain. Make sure you take a picture and target them with your sensor. And lastly, you can buy them from Beetle at the South Akala Stable. That's everything I can find on lizards. I hope this helps, and if you like it, give it a thumbs up. If you want more Zelda content, I hope you consider subscribing or at least checking out the channel. See you next time!
nice it would be to have a sensor. Requires fucking 50 ancient cores. If I were familiar with duping techniques. Nice.
Hi, lizards. Lizards run away if they hear or see Lynn. This video helps, give it a thumbs up, and if you want more Zelda content, I hope you consider subscribing or at least checking out the channel. There's a few things I'd like to mention before we learn the information on each specific lizard. and pick them up. First, we have hightail lizards. You can cook them in combination with a monster part for a speed boost, but there are better options. Check the card in the corner or the link in the description for my video on making the best recipes in Zelda Breath of the Wild. The main reason you'll need hightail lizards is to upgrade some gear. The sand and the snow boots each need 10 hightail lizards for their first upgrades. And each of the climbing's gear needs 5 hightail lizards for their second. That's a total of 35 hightail lizards. Hightail lizards can be found all over Hyrule in regular climates. You can cut some grass and they may appear. You can also buy from Beetle at Lakeside Stable and the South Akala Stable. Thank you! But there's one place I like to farm them, and that's in the East Necluda around the 3 Giant Brothers Shrine Quest. I like to stay in the Koto Pond and the Hanu Pond. I turn on the sensor, and if it reads that the lizards are on the other side of any mountains, I go to the other pond, and another lizard usually spawns somewhere. Next is hardy lizards. The only reason to use them is for cooking elixirs. Remember, they need to be cooked with a monster heart, and each hardy lizard cooked will fill Link's hearts to the max and add 4 temporary hearts. If you want to buy hardy lizards, you can buy them from Beetle at these stables: the Foothill, Gerudo Canyon, Highland, Outskirts, South Akala, and the Woodland Stable. However, the place I would farm them is also at East Necluda around the 3 Giant Brothers Shrine Quest. I usually farm both hightail and hardy lizards at the same time. I target one of them with a Sheikah sensor, collect as many as I can, then when I feel like the sensor is bringing me over a mountain, change the sensor to the other lizard. Then I just do this over and over again. Finally, there's one small place that's great to farm hightail lizards and hardy lizards, and you can guess it, and it's Satori Mountain. However, it can only be found mountain each along. If you go to the north side of the mountain, you can find about 20 hightail lizards and 10 hardy lizards. Finally, we have fireproof lizards. You get from one side quest, the side quest is in the southern mine in the Elden region, and this means will ask for 10 fireproof lizards and give them the flame breaker armor. Fortunately, there are at least 10 fireproof lizards around this mine. Just remember to sleep on them or attack them. The second reason you'll need fireproof lizards is to upgrade the flame breaker gear. Each piece needs 1 lizard for the first upgrade, and each piece needs 3 lizards for the second upgrade. Including the side quests, you need a total of 22 fireproof lizards. You can also cook fireproof lizards, and it will give Link a fireproof bonus. You can get level 2 with only lizards, but you only need level 2 to go on the mountain and in the northern mine. But after getting the flamebreaker gear, that shouldn't be a problem. And the best place to farm fireproof lizards, like I mentioned earlier, there are more than 10 lizards in the southern mine. Remember that stealth will help, and you can attack them if not, and make sure you check under the rocks too. Basically, they're all over the Elden region and Death Mountain. Make sure you take a picture and target them with your sensor. And lastly, you can buy them from Beetle at the South Akala Stable. That's everything I can find on lizards. I hope this helps, and if you like it, give it a thumbs up. If you want more Zelda content, I hope you consider subscribing or at least checking out the channel. See you next time!
Let's just beat the game. For the second time.
It is my pleasure. Neva's grace is ready.
Rivali's Gale is now ready.
love how he literally doesn't do anything in the castle.
Watch out for that sword! That flame ball is dangerous.
Now my moment has finally come. Brace yourself.
Oh, nice.
protection is now ready to roll.
It is my pleasure.
The roof's protection is now ready to roll.
Urbosa's fury is ready. That energy covering Ganon's body is called malice. None of your attacks will get through as he now is. I will hold the malice back as much as I can, but my power is waning. Attack any glowing points that you see. May you be victorious. Hit the glowing area. Hold it much longer. Ready? Blink now! Ganon's power is weakening. Aim for a glowing area. It's working. Hit the glowing area. We're so close. Look up there. That's the very core of Ganon's being. Do what you must. Use his attacks to your advantage. Do it. I've been keeping watch over you all this time. I've witnessed your struggles to return to us, as well as your trials in battle. I always thought, no, I always believed, that you would find a way to defeat Ganon. I never lost faith in you over these many years. Thank you, Linkle. The hero of Hyrule. May I ask, do you really remember us? We'll make our way to Zora's domain. Divine Beast Varuta. Looks like it stopped working. Let's investigate the situation. Mifa's father. I believe he would like to hear more about her. The least we can do is visit him and offer him some closure. Although Ganon is gone for now, there is still so much more for us to do, and so many painful memories that we must bear. I believe in my heart that if all of us work together, we can restore Hyrule to its former glory. Perhaps even beyond, but it all must start with us. Link, is it true? Did your sister really get lost on her own farm? Did we really place the fate of the world in the hands of a girl who cannot read a map? I'm surprised to admit it, but I can accept that.
Dude, can I actually just teleport? Oh god. Did Mara fucking die?